record to the cloud. There we go. Okay, awesome. All right, well, welcome everyone. This is our weekly team huddle, and it is August 12th, 2018, and I'm just so excited and grateful that you are on tonight live with us. If you're watching the recording, I love that you are taking the time just to invest in yourself, to invest in this business, in your business, and really growing, because that is what this business is all about, you all, is just learning, applying it, growing, and then repeating and doing that over and over again. So before we get into the two things that I want to talk tonight about on our huddle, I do want to let you know that we are doing a mid-month close this Thursday night. For those of you that are local in Louisville, we are going to be my sister, who's an area manager, Tara Johnson, she's going to be hosting it because Arbonne is launching some new products this Thursday, which is super exciting. They are doing that at the Australian conference. And so the way that the time works, it ends up being 6 o'clock Eastern time. So if you don't live in Louisville, you can Zoom in. We'll set up like an iPad, and you can kind of be a part of the group that way. Arbonne will be posting where we can watch the reveal live. If you live in an area like I know the Illinois girls in Peoria, there's a couple of them. They're together, just in a different part of the country. Just get together and be together. What we're going to do then after Arbonne launches the reveal and of the new products is we're going to use that time to really work to kind of close out business. What can we do for this first half of the month? Many times I think we just we don't work with an urgency. We don't work with a sense of kind of immediate. And so what'll happen is we wait until the end of the month to reach out to people. For those of us that have been, had our businesses for a couple months or a couple of years, we have preferred clients that have rewards to use, that need to renew. We have people to go back to. You have people that already in the first, 15 days of the month, you've probably done an overview with, you've met at a party, and you can just go back and follow up with them and just try to really bring things out to the best possible conclusion. If you don't know this, we get the opportunity to get paid every week with our businesses now. And so everything that you get entered into the system by Friday night, it will be deposited into your PurePay account the following Tuesday. Okay, you can leave that in there until it accumulates a certain amount of money if you don't really want to transfer it and spend it too quickly. I like to transfer it over at the end of every month. That's just how I've always had my Arbonne business, and so that's what I like to do. But if you love that idea of having income every week, you can do that, but you've got to get those orders in by the previous Friday, and then you can get paid on them. And I love that. That just is a wonderful way to have your income and to be able to see that weekly paycheck. Okay, so make sure that you take advantage of this coming Thursday. Plan to join us. If you're not local, just block out that time and plan to use it as work time. And if you're new and you're like, I don't know what I would do on a closed night, plug in, connect up with your sponsor, Upline, and we'll be really working to teach you to do what we do to maximize that time. Okay. And then the second thing is if you haven't yet registered for Impact training, do it. You're not on this call on a Sunday night because you just are looking to, you're not wanting to grow the business. You're on this call because you're looking for the community, you're looking for the culture, you're looking for the information. So get to the Impact training. There's great ones in Chicago, in Knoxville, Dallas, I think up in New York. I don't know if there's one in Ohio, but the list is there on the website, and you can see that it's also in the Facebook team page. But it's worth the investment. It's worth the time away. It's worth the childcare hassles, all of those things. I get it. I get them all. Okay. So it's worth every effort that you're going to put forth in order to come and to go to that one-day event. You're going to just get to be in a room of over, I would guess, 1,000 to 2,000 consultants. You're going to hear incredible training from top leaders. You're going to see people get recognized. You're going to see just really all that Arbonne can offer you. Okay. So those are some of the housekeeping things I wanted to chat about tonight. So tonight, like I said in the post, we are going to cover two things. And I really have been just thinking about and praying about how can I best serve you all? How can I best offer you the things that, as I'm looking at the team, what I feel like we need. And so what we're going to work on tonight, what we're going to talk about tonight is the skill. And the skill is growing your natural network and maximizing every exposure. And then the second thing we're going to talk about is mindset, because they go hand in hand. You really can't have one without the other. So the first thing is growing your natural network and maximizing every exposure. Here's the thing. Everyone has a market. You have a network, whether you see it or not, whether you recognize it or not. You might look at somebody and be like, oh my gosh, they've got a huge network and they've got 1,500 friends on Facebook and I have 300 friends on Facebook. And you might compare yourself with somebody else. And this is a side note, and I always have lots of side notes because I feel like a wealth of thoughts to share with people, but comparison is the thief of joy. And you can't compare your journey, your business, your network, any of that to anybody else. So if at any time you are ever feeling like, she's doing more, he's being more successful, they're getting ahead, all that's doing, you all, is stealing your joy. And so just stop it. Don't compare, because we only want to exchange like the highlights of people's journey or life. We never want to exchange our full situation for their full situation. Okay. So you have a market. You have a market that maybe is smaller than somebody else's. You have a market maybe that you haven't been as well connected to as you could be. You maybe have a market that is flourishing and you're really involved in it. Wherever you are, just know that you have a natural market. Every person on average is going to connect you to 250 people. So every time you have a party and there's 5 people there, every time I go into a party and there's 5 people there, what I'm thinking is these people have the potential to connect me to 1,000 people. Out of 1,000 people, do you think that there is a national vice president, a regional vice president? Yes, there's lots of them, right? So you guys have seen the video that I've done on the team page about flipping over the rocks. We just get in this business of flipping over the rocks and sharing it within our market. But you have to look at that treasure that every person carries. And as it relates to this business, it's not only who they are, but who they know. You don't have to know everybody. I tell new people all the time, I tell people when I'm prospecting and they tell me, I just don't think I know enough people. I'm like, that's awesome. This business is not about who you know. It's about who you're going to meet along the way. My big sister is the only person that I know in my team that I knew before I started my business. The only other person is our 2 gals in Illinois, and they just started 90 days ago. And I knew them, 20 years ago as an 18-year-old. But everybody else, all of the rest of you, I have either met in the last several years or I have met in the last several weeks or days. So it's a business about who you know, and it grows with time. So knowing that you have a market. So we are doing these overviews, right? We're doing overviews in the Zoom settings. We're doing them in coffee appointments. And why we're doing them is because it is most effective to lead with the business. You lead with the business, you stair-step people down to the product. Not everyone is going to understand the business. Not everyone is going to see the business. Some people, it's going to take them a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple years, a couple decades. I don't know. It might take them longer than you want it to take them. And there can be times when we that have seen it struggle to understand why others can't see it. And we're like, this makes such clear sense. Why don't other people see it? but it's okay if it takes them time. You just have to be willing to continue to drip on them, continue to give them exposure. But one thing that I want to do is, as we are doing these overviews, as you all are sharing in your group presentations the end about the business and giving people the monthly averages of income, having a conversation with people to find out what connects with them. So one thing that I have tweaked as I have been doing the overviews is, instead of ending them and asking people on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 is someone who hears this, sees the products, would like to give the products a shot, to a 5, somebody who sees this, likes the products, likes the business, wants to, talk about next steps. Where do you see yourself? I've just tweaked that a little bit, and it has been giving good results. And so I wanted to share that with you all. And what I'm asking people at the end is, I just have 2 questions, because I want to make sure that we're on the same page and I'm just serving you in the right way. And the first question is do you have any questions about what I just shared? I know it's a lot of information in a short amount of time, but if there's any places I could clarify anything that I said, or if any questions popped up for you, whether it's in regards to the products, the business, the company, anything like that, I'd love to just answer those for you. And oftentimes, you guys, people don't have a question. They'll be complimentary. They'll say, no, you did a great job. No, that was really informative. Gosh, I learned a lot. Sometimes they'll have a question here and there. And so after that, then I say, that's awesome. The second thing I just want to ask you is, what resonated with you? Out of all that you just heard in the last 20 minutes, what resonated with you? What kind of connected for you? And I'm doing that because I want to hear from them. I want to know more than just a number, because what I was finding is that we're getting a lot of, like, people are 2s to 4s. Like, they're not really ready to jump in and launch the business. They're kind of interested in products, maybe a little bit more, but they're in this kind of like mid-range, and we're not really moving them to that next step. And so I want to hear from people on, well, what is it? What resonated with you? And because when they were telling me that they're a 3, I'm like, are you more interested in the nutrition? Are you more interested in the skincare? Like, why are you a 3? And so just asking people what resonated with them or what resonates with them has seemed to spur more conversation with people than the 1 to 5. Okay. And so find out what they're saying. If you sense, by the way, can you all see these like text messages that are coming up on my screen? No? Okay, good. If you can sense that when they answer it, they are avoiding talking about the business. Like, it all sounded really awesome, and oh my gosh, I think I would really love the skincare, and yeah, like, the protein sounds great, but they don't mention like one word of the business. What you want to do is you want to lead the conversation. You say something like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Yes, I love the protein. It's one of my favorites. We've seen a lot of benefits from it, or whatever, something like that. And then you say, well, what did you think about the business? Like, did any of that kind of like just get your attention, or what are your thoughts on that? And again, then you just sit quiet and you let them share. Because what they're going to share is they're going to be telling you why they don't see this for themselves, why they don't feel like they could step out and do it. They're going to share the objection with you. And we know how to overcome objections. There's all kinds of trainings on overcoming objections. That's something that we'll continue to work on. But you're just looking to have more of a dialogue, have a bit more of a conversation with them to find out. Here's an example. There's a gal on the team, and she said, okay, yes, the dinging is the text threads coming through. She said, I talked to a lot of people and I'm getting lots of no's. And I said, well, what are the no's? They're just not interested in the business. They don't have enough time. Their schedules are so busy. And so what I recommended to her to say, because what'll happen is if you don't, and this is kind of like this is like a secondary skill to this first skill. There's lots of skills you're going to learn in this business, but overcoming the objection is one of the skills. But if someone says like, oh, I just, I don't know, the business, I mean, it sounds great, but I mean, I work full time. My kids are in 79 sports. I'm going back to school for my master's degree. My mom is sick. I take care of, we've got 17 horses, whatever, and they're just like, I just could not imagine how I could fit one more thing on my plate. I am so busy. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, yeah, you're totally busy. I don't think you could do this either. What you would say is, I totally hear you. And yes, you are a super busy person. What I'm going to tell you is that busy people are really great at this business. And if I could show you how you could fit this into your schedule, would you be open? And what that will do is that will actually start to present the real answer. Because if they say, I mean, sure, because I have like 2 minutes a day to myself, which they don't, but it's a perception. If they feel like, well, I just don't know if I would have time, and you say, well, can I show you how you could work this into your schedule? And they say yes, that means there's interest in the business. That means that there is a willingness to do something like this. We haven't connected up the dots for them on how they could do this. If they say, no, I'm just too busy, then it's just a no for them, more than likely not right now. But it also is just, it's time is not the issue. They just don't want to do it. And that's fine. But then you'll know that, and that comes out through that communication. Okay. So our upline ENVP, Lisa Voorhees, who's amazing, she has always recommended for years that you work to get 3 no's in a conversation. I mean, you either get the yes or you stop asking, but you don't stop asking till you get 3 no's. Meaning, you do the overview. What resonated with you? Oh, I really love, the idea of the products. I could absolutely use some help with my skin or my nutrition. Great. What were your thoughts on the business? Did it catch your attention or speak to you? No. Or just too busy. If I could show you how to fit this into your schedule that's really busy, would you be open? No, I don't think so. Okay, no problem. And you just use the phrasing, no problem, a lot. And then you say, I really love, I would really love to help you just experience the products a little bit more. I would love to recommend just having a few friends over next week. Or maybe if this is like a Monday, just saying, maybe even Thursday, Friday this week, I can come over, bring everything, we'll play in the products. It's 90 minutes a time or less. It's lots of fun, and I can help you get some of the products that you would like to try at 80% off. Would you be willing to do that, or could we pencil in a time? And then you sit quiet, and they'll say, yeah, sure, that sounds fun. And you just say, keep it really low key, don't overthink it. You don't even have to clean your house. I'll bring everything. If they say no, then you're on your second no. And then you offer them a sample. Hey girl, that's no problem. I know schedules are busy, whatever reason. I've got a skincare pack, or I've got a nutrition little packet to try. And you all, for the nutrition packet, like put a fizzy, a tea, and throw some protein powder in a Ziploc bag and call it good. I mean, you can buy the individual protein powders if you want, but I just scoop them into Ziploc bags a lot of times, and have that ready to give to them. And just say, I'd love for you to give this a test run for 3-4 days, and then I'd like to follow up with you. Would you be open to giving this a try? And then let me call you and get your feedback. Again, they're either going to say yes or no. If she says no at this point, she's now giving you 3 no's. And what you can say then is you can say, and here's the thing, you guys, nobody's turning down samples. Let's be honest. They're just not. Everybody's going to take a sample of one or the other. They might be super committed to their skincare from Clinique, but they would try the fizzies and the protein or something like that. So that's, you just want to kind of be taking it out versus like, hey, do you have any interest in the business? No. Okay, well, thanks. Thanks for hopping on. And then you're just done. And you feel like, okay, that was an exposure, but it didn't really yield to anything. Okay, so you really want to work to end every overview with a next step, a next appointment, whether it is them signing up becoming a preferred client and placing an order, whether that is them penciling in a date with you to have some people come to their house for a product experience, whether that is you all setting another appointment to chat more about the details of the business, you know, whatever it is, versus just leaving it kind of hanging. And if you do end up giving them samples, you want to set a date and a time that you're going to follow up with them on that. So if you had an overview, say, with somebody tonight, and it ends with sampling them, say, you know what, that's great. I'm going to drop you off some samples tomorrow. I'm going to drop some off in the mail, figuring out when they'll get them. As soon as you get them, would you be willing to use them, you know, over the next 72 hours? They'll say yes. You say, great. How about I give you a call? I could either touch base with you on Saturday morning or Sunday afternoon, which works better for you. And you're penciling in and you're scheduling another appointment with them to avoid just kind of the ping pong game or the telephone game of trying to, you know, catch up with them after you have had those exposures. Okay, but really understanding that you want to have dialogue in these overviews. You want to have dialogue even when you're at the parties and you're asking people like, hey, have you ever thought about doing something like this? And they're like, no, I don't think so. And then you can just say, do you mind if I ask, like, why? Like, what keeps you from it? Or what keeps you from kind of hearing more? And you're not doing it in a pressure way. You're not doing it in this way that's like, oh my gosh, I just want this lady to go away, so here's my order for my primer. You're just having conversation, but realizing, you all, that every person is so valuable. You're not desperate for them. You're not needy of them, but they have great value because they have great value because they're a person, but they also have incredible value because they're going to connect you potentially to 250 people. So you don't want to just willy-nilly through these overviews. You don't want to not treat every person that you have the opportunity to share this business with lightly because there is great potential there, okay? The last thing that I want to say is I do want to encourage you all as you are chatting with especially family members, close friends, best friends, coworkers, people that know you, like you, trust you, but they do not see this as a business for themselves. They do not want to jump into the business and get the business started for themselves. What I want to encourage you to do with those people is, one, ask them to host for you because you just want to get into their market, right? You want to get into their 250 people. The other thing that you want to be doing is you want to just genuinely say, hey, Kim, I know this isn't a fit for you. I love that you're my sister. I love that you're my sister-in-law or my cousin or my best friend. And I know that this right now isn't a fit for you, and that's totally fine. But I know it's a fit for me, and I'm really committed to growing this business. So do you have 5 people, men or women, that you would be willing to refer me to, that you would be willing to make a connection? You know, and they can be long distance, they can be local, but you're asking your people who do know you, like you, trust you, if they would just simply be willing to refer you or connect you to some people. Because by them doing that, the people that they're referring you to, you will have already won some influence with them because the person recommending you is somebody that knows you, likes you, and trusts you, right? So again, that's where this natural network is coming from. We have people everywhere. We have people all around us. We have people everywhere in our market that we can absolutely be sharing Arbonne with, okay? So honing the skill, you really developing the skill of growing your natural network and maximizing every exposure. Okay, so that's the skill I want to talk about tonight. So we're going to shift gears here a little bit and we're going to talk about mindset because these two things really go hand in hand, because I have seen time and time again consultants go through the motions of the overviews. They go through the motions of doing the parties, and they yield very little results. They yield little sponsoring, they yield little sales, they yield little growth in the business. And for a long time, I couldn't figure out like why. I was like, they're doing what I'm telling them to do and it's not working. And what I realized was that it's part the skill, but it's also part the mindset. And really the mindset is so important that you carry. So I'm going to read a couple things to you guys that I have been taken from a book, super powerful. And I really want to ask you to think about, what is your mindset? What is your vision? What do you actually see for yourself with this business, with your life? Okay? Because, and I'm just going to share some of the different things that came from this book. Your mind doesn't care what you want, or even what you're willing to work hard for. And when I read that sentence, I felt like the top, you know, like those cartoons where like the top half of the head like blows off and you're like mind blown, because I thought, well, it was just so much to chew on. So your mind doesn't care what you want or even what you're willing to work hard for. It only cares that you perform in accordance with what you expect of yourself. The only thing that the mind matters is that what you are doing is in line with the stories that you've told yourself, the vision that you have of yourself, the core beliefs. Like last week we talked about those I ams. There is a reason we did that last week, because your mind wants to be in agreement with your I ams. So if your I ams are, I am a loser, I am someone that doesn't have influence, I am, quiet and nobody pays attention to me, I am, whatever those things are, if they're negative, the mind is looking, it's magnet, it's attracted to the things that are going to confirm that. So that is why you have to get the I ams of who you are to be in line with what you want, so that your mind will go to work to make those connections and to make those things true. Okay? There is an article that was written called The Expectations Far More Than We Realize, and it talks about how they did this experiment in a classroom. And they said, in a typical experiment, elementary school teachers were told that one group of kids had done extraordinarily well on tests that predict intellectual blooming and so would make remarkable academic gains. Okay, the test seemed okay. So the test seemed accurate, and it just communicated what they were wanting. After a few months, the bloomers it identified had achieved statistically significant gains over the other students. So these teachers were told this group of kids basically are gifted. They're going to grow faster. They're going to bloom more quickly per these tests. Okay. In reality, you all, there was no such test. To the contrary, the kids the teachers thought were the bloomers included students from every ability level. The only difference was in the mind and expectations of the teacher, yet those expectations produced clear academic differences. So the teachers thought this group of kids were gifted, were bloomers, were going to grow more quickly. Those kids had not actually been tested for that. What changed was how the teachers saw those kids, how the teachers taught those kids, how the teachers spoke to those kids. It is the same thing for you all. When you go and sit down with someone at an appointment, when you do an overview, what do you expect? Do you expect that this is your next national vice president? Or do you expect that this person is going to say no to the business? You get what you expect. The person is neutral. The person doesn't change. It's our mindset. It's our perception. It's our energy that we're bringing to it. So what do you expect? You get what you expect. It's instinctive. It doesn't matter what you want or even what you're working for. You are going to get what you expect. And he goes on to talk about, this guy was in a network marketing business, and he said, he said, when I started out, they told me that I can make $60,000 a year. So when he started out, he, in essence, and he wasn't an Arbonne, but I'm going to parallel it to Arbonne, he was told he could be a regional vice president in 1 year, because that's true. A regional vice president, if you're on the low end, you'll make $60,000 a year, right? He said, I started with that vision that I could make that kind of money. I wanted to make it. I hoped I could make it. I wished somehow that I would get lucky. And I didn't want anyone to know that I didn't think that I could do it. So I tried. I tried my hardest. I worked really hard. I invested everything I could get my hands on, traveled, did the trainings, and I made $12,000 my first year. Then I made another $12,000 my second year. I got tired of working so hard, so I took it a little easier, and I earned $4,000 my third year. You see, even though I wanted to earn $60,000 and I did everything I could think of to do it, I was working against an anchor dropped years earlier, a life-limiting decision of I'm not good enough. And this, you all, and I don't have time to get into all this, and you all don't need to hear the stories quite yet, but this is something that I have personally been working through, is realizing that there are stories, there are these I am stories, there are stories that were told to you as a kiddo, there are stories that, you experienced that programmed some things in you. Maybe I'm not good enough, I don't deserve this, I can't, do better than my family has ever done before. Whatever those things are, those are limiting, life-limiting beliefs and decisions that we operate out of. So he just goes on to share that he kind of hit rock bottom, and he finally decided to start doing the things that the people who had shared this business with him had said to do, which was personally work on yourself. So he said, I went to work on my head, my thoughts, and what I held to be true, literally changing my mind about what I decided about myself. It worked. Within 6 months, I was earning $10,000 a month. Within 2 years, I was earning almost $40,000 per month. Think about that. $4,000 a year to $400,000 a year within 2 years, because he changed his I ams. He changed what he expected. He changed what he believed he was worthy of, was possible for him, what he was going to operate on. He said, I created a new vision of myself. One my conscious mind knew was not true, but that I trusted my unconscious mind could hear and feel, and it did. And he has some books that he recommends. He said that he actually recorded some audios of himself that he would listen to as he slept about, going to again parallel this to Arbonne, I'm an executive national vice president. I have a leadership team of 10 national vice presidents. We have a debt-free life, or, whatever those things are. We give to missions organizations. I, pay in cash for my kids' private education. Whatever those things are that you want, that you see, you want to put those in there. He says, goal setting only works when your goal becomes your mindset or your expectation. Goals have to become beliefs and expectations. You have to believe that what you want is actually inevitable. There is a reason that I see people, consultants, come into the business and they become a district manager or an area manager or a regional vice president or a national vice president in the time that they set. And most oftentimes it's related back to that they actually see themselves as that. They actually envision that promotion. They actually believe that that is inevitable for them. He said, I began to expect success. I felt more powerful, listen to this, even though I was not producing any better results. So you don't focus on what you're seeing. You don't always focus on your web stats. Your web stats right now, more than likely, are not going to tell you that you're on track to become an area manager by the end of this month. But if you decide, I want to be a district manager and into qualification for area manager by the end of this month, you can make that happen if you start to see that for yourself, believing that it's inevitable. He said, I felt more at peace and safe. I felt optimistic. I was having a little more fun. I was managing what I was thinking, and what I was thinking was changing how I felt, both about others and myself. He said, I became a master recruiter. And listen to this. And this is part of what I shared earlier today in a Facebook post about the 2 gals that have been area managers for like 5 years, and then they promoted to region just in the last 5 months because of a decision. He just said, I became a master recruiter. I wasn't using a new technique. You all, there's not a new thing that you need to go find in order to grow your business to the place that you want to this year or in the next 6 months. I was selling the same opportunity I had been selling for 4 years. The only thing different was my willingness to train myself to think like a successful person. Before I began to change the way I thought, I was simply projecting too much doubt. And I have seen this in consultants. I have gone to parties with consultants, and I can see they have low energy. They have low expectation. They have low belief. They have high doubt. They have little confidence in this business. They're saying all the things, they're reading the scripts, they're doing the overviews, but what is seeping out is like doubt and low energy and low belief, and kind of like this unconscious messaging of like, I know you're not going to do this with me anyway, so I'm just going to keep going through the motions here really quickly and get this over with. And that's what they yield. That's absolutely what they yield. People would sense something was wrong and then put me off. But now my energy level matched the words I was saying. People pay much more attention to who you are than what you're saying. So again, your I ams, what you are saying to yourself on a daily basis. Are you saying, I'm blessed, I'm favored, I attract amazing people to my business, I have influence with successful people, people can't help being attracted to me, people can't help saying yes to me, I'm a leader of leaders. If that's what you're saying, that's what will come when you put that work in, okay? So I want you to really be thinking about, what is the vision that you have for yourself? What are you seeing for yourself? What are your I ams? If you didn't go do that last Sunday because you thought that was goofy and hokey and dumb, it's not. That is what you operate out of, is your I ams, who you see yourself. And I love when he called it the art of lying to myself, where he created the vision that he wanted, even though his conscious mind knew it was not yet true. Okay? And the last thing that I want to say is that we can use this gift to turn your lives on a dime and produce more wellness, more aliveness, more fun, more joy, more love, and more abundance in the next 5 years than you have had in the last 20. We can accomplish this by honoring this gift on purpose and by design, and with some mastery of this process. And that's what I have seen over and over and over again, you all, in this business and in life, is that we do get many times, when we have things that we feel like we didn't expect, it can be hard to wrestle with this truth. But I do think that there are some unconscious or subconscious things that we expect, and we end up getting that. Like if you expect that your life's always going to be a struggle and it's always going to be hard and you're never going to have enough and there's always going to be chaos and you're always going to be running behind, you're going to kind of get that, right? If you expect the opposite, that things work out and there's always more opportunities and you have favor with people and, people help you out and you've got great relationships, more than likely you get that, right? So it's that same principle with our business, that this is a mindset thing. There is, there's a quote, and I have it on my, hold on one second. Oh, okay, so there's a quote that I have on somewhere but I don't know where it's posted. But I will find it and I'll repost it on the team page just as we wrap up here. But it talks about that you say what you see, meaning you say what you want to be seeing until you actually start to see what you've said. And there's a fancier way that was said more smoothly than how I just said that. But it's about declaring, it's about speaking to the things that we want and doing that until they become the reality of our lives, of our businesses, of our health, of our finances, of our relationships, whatever those things are. And here's the awesome thing, you guys, about this business is all the things that you're learning, these are principles, and you just take them into your life. They're not exclusive for this business, okay? So I want you to really think about, chew on tonight, chew over the next couple days. What are you envisioning? What's the vision you have for your business? What do you expect? Where do you expect to be celebrating New Year's of this year in your business? Do you expect to be celebrating being a regional vice president? Do you expect to be celebrating being a national vice president? Do you expect to be celebrating being an area manager with 3 other area managers on your team? What do you expect? Because what you expect so dramatically impacts what we end up getting, because those are the stories that we've built into ourselves. That's the programming, like that's the software. You know, we put software into computers, and then the computer runs on the software and it outputs based on the software, right? It's the same thing with us. We have put software in, maybe somebody else put software in you, some parents, spouses, coaches. Some of it's great, some of it's horrible, and you got to replace the horrible, but you're operating on that software. So if the software is not in line with what you say you want, then you got to reprogram the software so that it's in line with what you're saying you want. Okay? So mindset stuff is huge. I love it, and it's so powerful, and it's not hokey, it's not weird, it's not new agey, it's not anything to be like, oh, this is weird stuff. It's not. It is principles of life, and the clearer you can get your vision around what you see, the more your brain, your mind will go to work to get you there. And that's what I love. And that's why you in this business, you don't have to get hung up on all the how-tos, like, well, how do I do an overview, or how do I do a party just the right way, or how do I, sign somebody up just the right way, or how do I get them launched just the right way? There isn't just a right way. There isn't one special technique. It's just doing it to the best of your ability, but believing and knowing and seeing that this is part of the process of getting you and getting those that you are inviting to do this with you to that place. That's why it just talks about when the why is clear, the how takes care of itself. This is where this all comes down to. So what do you see? What's the vision? What are you aligning your mind with, those I ams with, so that your brain and your work will start to make those things true. Okay? So thank you all for hopping on tonight. If anybody has any questions, you can unmute and ask them. If you've got any questions on the skill part as it pertains to the group, you can ask that. If you've got any questions on the mindset part, you can ask that as well. So, or you can type it in the chat, either one. But if nobody has any questions, we can be done, but I'll give you all a minute, 30 seconds, if you guys have any questions or anything like that. No. Y'all are so pretty, so cute. Can I show you all something? I'm gonna stop the recording. All right, I'm gonna stop the recording. Yes, I wanna